For.
Whatever. I'm the hostess with the mostest.
Mm.
Excuse me. We are live. Places, everyone.
Okay.
Places comes before live.
I told you all live, and then Smart started talking. All right. Shh. I could talk about our regular sponsor at www.audibletrial.com/whiskeywinemoon, where you can get a free audiobook download with a free 30-day trial. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about the real sponsors of this show. That's you guys, the WWM Pod sponsors. We'd like for you to help us by going on over to our website and leaning on that donate button. Your love offering helps keep the happy hour going. So thank you for your continued support. And now on to our regularly scheduled program. Welcome to episode 66 of Whiskey, Wine, and Moonshine, where we are asking the question, do men really cry in the dark?
Yeah.
But first, allow me to introduce ourselves. We are Thoughtful Teresa, Snarky Susan, and Angelic Amanda.
Wait, whoa. Stop. You do not get to be angelic.
No.
Yes, I do, and I'm going to do this every time I host. No, we are really Lady Buddha, Miss Think Pretty Smart, and I am Sojourner Verdad, representing Whiskey, Wine, and Moonshine, which, as you can tell, for those of you who've been listening to us for a while, those do represent our personalities.
No. Everyone knows that your personality is not angelic. Stop.
I was talking about the whiskey, the wine, and the moonshine.
Oh, okay. Woo.
But
Sorry.
if you really want to talk about it, you are Thoughtful Teresa, Smart is Snarky Susan, and I am Angelic Amanda.
See how you just lied at the end? You lied at the end.
I am delightful Diana. Thank you.
I'll save that for next time. How are y'all doing this evening?
Pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
Good. Do y'all have beverages?
Girl, you know I've been drinking since beverage 30 o'clock. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Lady Wood. I'll just cut in there. I'm just saying.
No, you go. I mean, go for it.
I'm drinking something. I'm sure I've drank it several times here. It's the Bassignani Riesling, which, as I said before, is great for the Negro palate. It is very sweet, and you can pretty much drink it with anything. But I prefer. I had made chicken burgers this evening. Jamaican. Well, not chicken. Curry chicken burgers, and it went really well with it because I used. Oh God, I can't even, like a curry mayonnaise that I made, and then I had a mango chutney that I put on it, and that with this wine really brought the flavors out. So.
It sounds delicious.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Buddha?
All right.
She's gonna be like, well, I ain't cooked nothing.
To say, after all this time I spent on the road, no, I didn't cook anything today, and I was really, really excited not to. But I am drinking Madria Sangria.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably not as good as some of the other sangrias that I drink, but I just wanted to get a sangria tonight, so I just went out and got one. What about you, Sojo?
Well, I am the sober one this evening driving the bus. I guess I'm the designated driver. I fell down the stairs, so I have to take muscle relaxers, so I can't couple that with alcohol. So I have my...
Let me just pause.
Wait, you just gonna let that slide in? Wait.
Because I know that y'all always...
We've heard nothing about a fall.
I know, because I know that y'all gonna say something.
Hello, wait, when did this fall happen? First of all, because it happened long enough ago that you already have muscle relaxers.
Okay, no, I went to the doctor today because I was trying to carry, like I had taken, my food upstairs or whatever, and I had my food in the book and something else, trying to not make more than one trip, and I tripped. So as I was falling, I hit the side of my back, which is swollen. So anyway...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be all right. Like, I have a pillow behind the chair. But when I woke up this morning, like, you know how you wake up and, of course, try to go about your routine. I slept on my stomach last night, so I didn't realize it was as bad as it was until I woke up. So, but I'm good. I'll be all right. But I do have spring water and a little bit of lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
I see Miss Smart's face back there. She like,
This sounds very much like the road to crack addiction.
No.
Oh my God.
How does it sound like the road to crack addiction?
I know. Sparky, what's her name
It's
again?
muscle relaxant.
Susan.
It's muscle relaxers, and then you can't get a prescription for that. So then you try to buy them down at the Piggly Wiggly in the corner
See,
with from some meth head.
this is why. Yeah, see, this is why we did
Lifetime
not have
movie.
this conversation.
Let's call her. No.
This is why I didn't send y'all a message and say I've fallen and I can't get up.
But see, she's over there being taking it too far, Tammy over there. That's what's going on that side.
Ooh, I need to write that one down. Too far, Tammy.
Goodness.
But yeah, so y'all know this has been just a heavy week in general.
Ooh.
So I'm glad that we're here so we can kind of lighten it up a little bit because it's just been, a lot. So hopefully, I know that everybody's kind of been inundated with Twitter and, the news and stuff. So I'm kind of hoping that, our conversation will give everybody just a little lighthearted, whatever for the week. We can start off with our feedback. Let's see. From iTunes, where if you guys leave us a 5-star review, we will read your feedback live on air. And we did have one review from earlier this month. It says from Talk Radio Diva. She says, great podcast with thoughtful, funny, and intelligent conversation. Never a disappointing listen. So thank you, Talk Radio Diva, for that.
Oh, nice.
Hey, boo, hey.
I didn't see any 5-star reviews on Stitcher, but remember, if you do leave us a 5-star review there, we will read your feedback. And you can also leave us comments on episodes via your Facebook page, which helps promote the show if you guys click the box that lets you post on your timeline. So spread the love to your family, friends, and coworkers on Facebook. Let's see, our Twitter people want to welcome B. Blizzak, Hassan in Canada, Michael Dean, and Silent X Media. Giving shouts out to our Black Podcast family who continues to spread the love and the word. We've got, Letitia and Kai Love from the Pisces Life, Rod and Karen from the Black Guy Who Tips, Leonard Brothers from the Look and Listen podcast, Rich Jones from Two Guys, One Show, Phenom Black from Where's My 40 Acres, and Dino Red from The Shiznick Show. So shout out to you guys. Comments and retweets from Lady Row 46, Ask TND, and Brandon Pearson. I can't remember your handle, but Brandon. Lonzo Harris Jr. and Lamont Harrison. And then from Facebook, we want to welcome Lady Trojan Scooter and Tiffany. So now we got a couple of emails that we got to get into from the feedback section. One of them is from Trojan Scooter, and he sent this a long time ago, so we're just now getting into it. It says, hi, ladies, how are you? The recent controversy involving Ray Rice's suspension and Stephen A.'s comments on the suspension and topic of violence against women has been interesting to say the least. Hot-button issues like violence against women are extremely difficult due to the complexities of gender roles in American society and the perceived lack of support of black women from black men and race. We have all seen on Twitter how quickly gender wars can start and turn irrational. With that in mind, can you imagine the backlash Stephen A. would have been if his response was his suspension is adequate and nothing else? In a related note, why are most discussions on intimate partner violence, aka domestic violence, limited to heterosexual couples? A Google search of same-sex couples and domestic violence revealed that the rates are similar to heterosexual couples, yet there is hardly any discussion on same-sex violence. Or violence against transgender individuals. So, any feedback for Trojan?
Well, I think we, as a country, don't really like discussing relationships, gay relationships. It's enough that we discuss gay marriage, and there's that whole debate. But getting into the similarities between gay relationships and straight relationships makes so many people uncomfortable, because if you get into the similarities, a lot of people feel like you're validating their relationships, which you should be validating. Their relationships are very valid. I've seen it. My girlfriend used to live in this condo, and upstairs from her was a gay couple, and they fought like T.I. and what's his name? What's that fighter's name? I don't know.
Floyd Mayweather.
If they were put into a death match thingy and fighting over Tiny. That's the way they fought all the time, and this is gay couple, and I've seen it with lesbians as well. But again, if we start talking about them in similar terms as straight couples, we as a nation validate their relationships, and I don't think a lot of people want to validate their relationships as true relationships.
Buddha?
I don't know if that's it so much. I think it's a numbers game. I mean, it's true that we are a heteronormative society. So if you look at what's going on TV, the sitcoms or whatever, you know, the majority of the shows that you see and the majority of the discussions will be heterosexual. That's also true as to who the majority of the couples are. So I think that we are coming to a point where the numbers are increasing and people are talking about it more. So as both of those things continue to rise, I think we'll hear more about it.
I think there are two things that he said in here. The first thing was about Stephen A's comment, which Steve, and I can't remember because it was such a long time ago, but I think he used the word provoke, which is what set everybody off when he was, you know, talking about, because he kept trying to clean it up, like he was like, you know, I'm a man and I have sisters or whatever, and we would ride and do all this stuff, but then he, you know, kind of mentioned about women provoking men when he could have simply said, everybody keep your hands to yourself, period. And that would have been, you know, the end of that conversation, instead of trying to put it as, well, you know, women are becoming violent against men and men are becoming violent against women. He could have just said, everybody stop touching everybody, period. And it wouldn't have, you know, made the storm that it did. But as far as the heterosexual versus homosexual couples, like Buddha said, I think that it's exposure, because we're now getting to the point where we're starting to see and accept homosexual couples on television. And now we're getting ready, we're able to see them interact. And so as we're able to see them interact, especially on reality TV, I know people hate reality TV, but as more or homosexual couples are starting to be shown there, we're starting to see their struggles, their disagreements, and we're about to see, you know, their domestic interactions as well. So I think eventually we will have conversations on that. It's just that the exposure hasn't been there.
Well, I don't know if it's just TV, because I would say TV was the exposure back when Ellen first came on and when Will and Grace first came on. But now it is Thanksgiving dinner is where you're seeing the gay couple interact. You're seeing them interact in the same way that your Uncle Robert and Aunt Shirley are acting a fool, you know, post a couple shots of Hennessy. The gay couple, man, you know, two gay men, two lesbians are interacting in the same fashion. So I don't know if it's just TV.
Well, that's not what I meant, though. I just meant in terms of broad talking about itness. So it's like, you know, even if we talk about couples that come to Thanksgiving dinner, you know, unless it's probably realistic to say that the majority of the people coming to the majority of the houses will still not be homosexual couples. And so maybe of the few that come, some of them will act in violent ways toward each other, but it's still not going to be in the same percentages, because there's not equal percentages of the couples. And so I think it's going to depend on who you interact with.
And that's why I mentioned the TV thing, because like TV allows us, especially with social media, to have broad conversations because we're all watching the same thing at the same time. Like I'm thinking about, you know, we were joking offline about we're going to force Lady Buddha to watch a reality television show, which is either going to be the Love and Hip Hop season finale.
No, I'm talking over you.
Or she's going to watch the Sisters of Hip Hop. I think that's the Sisterhood of Hip Hop or whatever's coming on Oxygen. Yeah.
As far as exposure is concerned, the same thing, though, can be said about black people. Like, you know, white people don't care about this baby getting killed in St. Louis because they don't have a black person sitting at their dinner table. They have limited interaction. All they know is what they might see on TV or hear. So, I'm sorry, I'm old and I lost my point.
No, but that's what we're talking about, is the exposure. Yeah. So what I was saying about the Sisterhood of Hip Hop was that there is an openly gay, openly lesbian rapper on there, and she has a girlfriend, and they get into an altercation at a club. People are going to be talking about that when it airs, you know, I think it's next week or whatever. So that opens the door to a discussion on, okay, is this a domestic situation? What about these two women fighting that we, you know, wouldn't necessarily have otherwise? You
I'm
got the
sorry. Are you wearing some Love and Hip Hop earrings? Because I feel like that's what I'm seeing peeking from under your hair.
What?
She's talking about my earrings.
Yeah.
I just want to read something real quick.
More basketball-wise earrings.
That's why I'm sorry. It all matches together for me. Sorry.
So even though I was going to mention, I can come back to this NPR article later on, but actually it touches upon domestic violence in here, and it talks about how much domestic violence has dropped in recent years. So it says, and they're talking about, you know, mostly heterosexual couples, but it says 50 years ago, guys were expected to support this woman. She kept the house, provided services around the house, including sex, which is why marital rape was not illegal. Men took it for granted that their role was to be the breadwinner, and the right and privilege that accompanied that was to be paid more than women in the workplace, to be deferred at home. Hold on. Nope, that's the wrong one. Here it is. Oh my gosh, the improvements in domestic violence have been quite impressive. Of course, there's more than there should be, but domestic violence in the 50s and 60s was often not even reported. When the police did come, many police departments had a stitch rule, refusing to arrest unless a certain number of stitches were required by the wife. An astonishing number of women took it for granted that they get slapped by their husbands. Domestic violence has been declining since the 1970s, and according to the Bureau of Justice, it fell by 72% between 1993 and 2011, and that's on top of earlier drops that researchers have found. And so, anyway, I can talk later about why marital rape even came into play in that particular article. But they were saying that even though, of course, it's still here, that it's dropped a lot. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, when
72% is a big drop. I mean, but
yeah, but I just don't believe it's a drop. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, I'll talk about the rest of the article later because it frames the reason why it's different now. And so it's not to say that you still won't find it in certain types of relationships, but they're talking specifically about within marriages. And even though they were saying that it was always underreported, that even with that factored in, that it still dropped significantly because people are happier in marriage. That's kind of the comment.
So it's not talking about just couples, like couples that are
right. It's talking about marriage specific.
Because I'm thinking, I don't think that's totally accurate. But okay, hold on. Before we get to the next feedback, I got a whole bunch of people in the Q&A, so I just want to say hey to everybody. Evo has joined us, and he has noticed Miss Smart's horns, so he's like, them horns, though. Yes, she is the Princess of Darkness. Jeffrey put the comment that he sent us as a Facebook message as well. Did you hear about Spreecast making people pay to use Spreecast? That's crazy, isn't it? Yes, and I'm glad that we shuffled on over to Google Hangout when we did last year. And Jeff likes my earrings. Thank you. These are my basketball wives earrings. I like them too. And he says, oh yeah, I forgot the Sisterhood of Hip Hop is coming on at 9 p.m. after the show. Is it? Okay. Yes, Buddha, you're going to have to watch that. You got to watch that or the Love and Hip Hop season finale.
Go with the Love and Hip Hop season finale, Buddha. We can stand in solidarity against this sisterhood crap.
Wait, do we want her to do the season finale or the reunion? Because the reunion is going to be hot fire.
We're reunion.
Okay, either that or Sisterhood of Hip Hop. Those are your choices.
Sisterhood is too much of a commitment. It's several episodes. You don't want that.
No, I'm just saying one episode. The little snippet that I watched gave me enough to. And I'm gonna say this. Normally, like I would have snarked through the whole thing, but I kind of felt like they were trying not to be stereotypical. And they did have a couple of stereotypical scenes, but it seems like they're really trying to show a different light. So I figured that would be better for Buddha, but I do want her to see one of them. Hustle Pro is doing that.
I do not speak Chinese, so I still don't know what you're talking about.
I know, which is going to make your recap even funnier because you're going to be sending us these messages like, what the hell is this? What am I watching? And then right when you think you're fed up, you're going to get really into it, and then you're going to start giving us a play-by-play. You always do it every time.
I mean, that doesn't mean that I
Am I
don't think
lying,
that I'm
Miss Smart?
fed up.
Am I lying? She gets hooked into the
That
ratchet.
doesn't mean I'm not fed up. It doesn't mean I'm not fed up. I'm a journalist. I'm always gonna give a play-by-play.
Yes, and you are so
Right.
funny with your play-by-plays. Hustle Crow said he found the Q&A this time early. There is a new showcase feature, and I don't know what it looks like on you guys' end as far as if it's different from the Q&A. Like, we can share articles. Like, we're going to share an article in a second with you guys, and you can actually click on the link there, but you do have to, I think, click on Q&A, to get to the chat part. And then, woo, Jeffrey said, it's Miss Smart Satan? LOL, nah, I'm just kidding. No, I don't think Miss Smart is Satan. I do think she's a princess of darkness, but
Oh my God! Horrible.
Jeff said, did we hear about Robin Williams? Yeah, we did. We did hear about his untimely demise, and that was, that was
And we
sad.
should say that nothing we're talking about has anything to do with, like, it wasn't engendered by him or suicide or depression. Like, we're not coming at it from that angle at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. As a matter of fact, I kind of think we're consciously avoiding some of the heavier topics that have hit within the last few days. So, yeah. Okay. Evo said when you log on, it automatically dumps us into the showcase, and then you have to find Q&A. So is it? I just just to let us know, do you have to actually click on the Q&A button? Let me know what y'all have to do so I can tell people when they come on.
What is Smart wearing?
Now she's wearing a birthday hat. She's trying. Look, she's
The party hat.
right. And the devil tries to fool you in many ways.
In the words of Rick James, I'm sorry, Dave Chappelle is Rick James. It's a celebration, bitches.
The sad part is she looks all innocent with that hat on. Take it off.
And that's how the devil gets you. Because remember, the devil was an angel up in heaven singing.
Take it off.
I'm gonna hold you up in prayer. I'm gonna hold both of y'all up in prayer.
Jeff says we're looking pretty as always. Thank you, Jeff. And then he says, oh damn, it's Hustle Crow, the same person who tried to corrupt me on the black guy who tips over the weekend. Now he's here trying to corrupt me again. I'm glad you're up on game, Jeff, because Hustle is really trying to lead you down a path.
Jeff is talking smack.
He is. He's getting in some bars.
Oh
He hopes my back feels better. Thank you. And then the guys are just chatting with each other. Oh, wait. Hustle Crow says he saw two lesbians have a spit fight on Bourbon Street when he was down in New Orleans. No punches, just spitting on each other. So, yeah, like I said, it's for any, and I think with any, like, relationship where people spend time together intimately and people don't know how to control their emotions or properly channel anger, regardless of whether you're homo or heterosexual, that could be a possibility.
Right. Or grown or little or whatever.
Right. Okay, he says little boxes, click that, and then you get to the Q&A. So we'll tell people how to actually get to the chat part. All right, the second part of the feedback comes from LB, that's Leonard Brothers from the Look and Listen podcast, and he says, just sending an email to say hello and thank you once again for having Carrie on the show recently. It was great, and I look forward to doing it again. I also wanted to ask what you ladies think about such things such as home ownership, buying and leasing cars, property, etc. What is your personal philosophy on these things? Do you prefer to rent, lease, or buy? Oh, wait a minute. If you would talk about your experiences in these areas as well as planning for one's future in general, things you know now that you wish you knew earlier, things you have learned along the way, and what you think are the most important things to know about these areas of life. It would be great to hear what you all have to say about these things. Looking forward to your responses.
We should do a whole show on questions like that. Cause that's
I definitely think so.
Kinda...
Because we kind of talked about that on the pleasure principle, but we really didn't go into depth. So what do you guys think, just in general, about what he said?
I'll just say one thing really quickly about leasing. I have leased and purchased cars, and what people don't know about leasing or people ignore is that you can lease a car for cheaper than it costs to buy it, and at the end of it, you can buy it. So basically what it allows you to do is stretch out the time that you're taking to buy the car up to almost 9 years. So for instance, if you lease a car and it's for 3 years, at the end of that 3 year point, you usually have a year you can extend that lease. So you're paying that same lower rate. At the end of that 4th year, including your extended year, you can then buy the car. And if you're someone who doesn't drive a lot of miles, your car is probably going to be worth more than you owe on it because you haven't been taking it, you haven't been driving it as much. So that's one thing about leases. You don't have to turn them in. Now, the other side of that is when you buy a car, you're obviously, well, not obviously, but depending on the car whatever, the same type of car, you're going to pay more monthly for it, but you get those payments done quicker. And I'm saying this all assuming that you at least have a 720 credit score. I don't know what happens when you get down to that 650, 599 area, but when you do have a high credit score, you can basically stretch those payments out so you can buy a more expensive car and just pay smaller payments on it, or you can pay larger payments on a shorter amount of time. So that's that.
My only problem with the leasing thing was what you just said earlier about the number of miles, because living in comfortably south of Atlanta like I do, if I'm trying to go to the city, I'm pretty much, putting, 100 something, miles to and from.
Right.
Whatever. So leasing, although it would have been ideal for me, it wasn't an option because of the mileage, but it was definitely.
But if you were buying the car, at the end of it, it wouldn't really matter.
Yeah.
Because you set up the price you're going to pay for the car, you set that up in your quote unquote negotiation. So a lot of people will go into the dealership and see these things on the television and say, oh, lease this car for $399 a month. You don't actually have to pay that amount. What you do is you negotiate the overall price of the car, and once you get that down reasonably, you say, well, how much would it be for me to lease it? They won't let you walk out of the dealership.
So my question is, if I had gone over the mileage by the time it was time to negotiate, like when the lease was up, then would there be an additional charge, or how would that even?
They usually won't do any additional charge if you say you're going to buy the car. And the beauty of that is you can say you're going to buy the car, pay 3 months of payments, and then trade that car in. Like, people think that you're locked into these agreements. You're not. You're not even, for instance, my lease was up, and I've extended it because lazy, haven't went and bought a new car. That's a whole nother deal. But even though I extended it 6 months, I could take it back. I could drop it off tomorrow if I want to. Like, it's not like, oh, my hands are tied and such and such. No.
Buddha, what do you think?
Well, I'm a homeowner, and I'm also a landlord now. And
You said that with like this look on your face.
Because, I mean, it was the right decision at the time, and I made sure to get a mortgage that I could comfortably afford. So it was never kind of scraping, and it wasn't anything that was ever difficult to do. And we're talking 13 or 14 years ago now when I bought.
Breaking up, Buddha.
Yeah. Uh-oh, she froze.
Okay. Well, she'll come in a second.
Yeah, I can go ahead and speak on my homeowner's experience. And what she just said about getting a mortgage you can comfortably afford, that really is the key, because a lot of people, just because you can buy a lot of house doesn't mean that you necessarily need a lot of house or that you can afford a lot of house, because people forget that you also have to maintain that house. And the same thing too is that I remember when the mortgage boom happened, everybody was getting these great deals, but they weren't getting fixed interest rates. And that's one of the things that my mom said, look, whatever, do not let someone try to sell you a home without a fixed interest rate. Buddha, you back? Uh-oh.
I just sent her a message, so she.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back. Go ahead.
Okay, should I start from the beginning, because I don't know where it cut off?
Yeah, because you just kind of cut off after being a landlord.
Okay, so I was just saying that when I bought my townhouse like 13 years ago, that was a good decision, and I made sure that I could comfortably afford whatever my mortgage was going to be. So it wasn't like I was stretched out. It wasn't anything uncomfortable at all. But I did say that, the fact that sometimes it's nice to be a renter rather than an owner, because then you're not responsible for those repairs.
My
Because
God.
living in Georgia in the summertime, you know, your air conditioning is going to break down at some point and you have to go get another one, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of buying a car, one thing that I would probably do differently on my next car, because I've also had this car for about a decade now, is buy a used car. I bought a new car at the time, and again, based on my circumstances, it was the right decision. But going forward, I wouldn't start from scratch. I would get a new to me vehicle.
Yeah, I've
I
thought
mean, I
about
paid
that too.
good money for it. I made sure, you know, I researched and did all the, you know, there was no haggling or negotiating. I already knew how much I was going to pay for the car that I was going to buy. So I went up there and said, this is my number. This is the car. What you got? And so I got a salesperson who was like, okay, I'm interested in actually moving this car and you have good credit. So therefore, let's make it happen. But the next time I'll probably get a used car.
Well, don't forget, when you guys go buy cars, you know, you can go through Costco or like BJ's. There are so many places that give discounts. I can't think of this particular site, but my coworker used it where, to Lady Buddha's point, you set a price and they tell you these dealers will honor that price. You take that certificate in there and that's the price you pay.
Mm-hmm.
So don't just like go.
Don't get gouged on a car.
Right, on a Thursday, like I did after my first lease, I had to turn that car in, and I just went literally after work and bought a car that night. I didn't do enough research. So don't do that. But I did have that car for 11 years. I'm ignoring these comments because y'all so petty. Right now.
But yeah, whatever, if you decide that you're going to purchase a house, I mean, you definitely want to think about what not just what the bank tells you can afford, but what you feel like you can afford and that you can afford comfortably and still have some money left over to have disposable income. And if you can't figure that out, then that might not be the best decision.
And to be able to fix for whatever happens to break. Like if your hot water heater breaks tomorrow, are you going to be able to get another hot water heater? If your plumber, hell, I just had to have a plumber come out. Are you going to be able to pay for that plumbing expense? Or, whatever comes up, it's not just, oh, okay, once I pay, maybe my car note, my, utilities or whatever, I've got my mortgage left over. That's not being able to afford that mortgage.
Right.
Right.
If you're ending up with $50 in your bank account at the end, that's not.
But like depending on the community you live in, things like being able to mow your lawn.
Right.
You have a lawnmower. Are you able to afford to have someone mow your lawn? Like, and particularly for single women, I feel like at least in this.
Smart's breaking up now. Smart, you there?
Episode or two ago. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me? Hello.
Okay. Yeah, we got you now. You're back.
Okay. So
you're there.
Like I said, episode or two ago, a lot of my friends and acquaintances, women, rushed out and bought these houses, and it was so they could paint. So they felt like they'd be better in the dating market. This is me filing my nails, and a lot of that didn't work out so well. So really know why you're doing something and what you expect to get out of it. Because, some of them expect they were going to make this big windfall. They were going to get these houses and they were going to have all this equity in it, and it didn't kind of work out that way. And by kind of, it didn't at all.
It didn't at all. And I think, like, especially with the people down here in the South, it's one of the things where it was almost an expectation that you buy a home when you get to a certain age. It was like a rite of passage. It wasn't just females. It was males, females. We all bought houses, and I felt like I was behind, and I was only 24. When I bought my home, and I felt like I was behind the curve because everybody had a house except me. So that was kind of like, one of my decisions that I should have just really thought about a little bit more. Like, why did I want to buy a house? Did I really want a house, or did I really just want to feel like I own something? Then I had to think about the fact, well, I do own things already. So, Lady Rowe made a comment on our Facebook page that I think pretty much sums up how I feel. She said, I'm listening to Sojourner Verdad talk about why she bought a house. I can so relate. I bought one because I was a mom and it was part of the American dream, right? Maybe if I had bought it earlier, then I might enjoy it more, but my kid goes to college in 2 years and I want to be unencumbered by this mortgage. She says, I just want to pick up the phone for someone else to come and fix whatever needs to be fixing. So, or excuse me, whatever needs fixing. So,
But you know, I bought my house because it was actually cheaper than renting was at the time. Because it was right after I finished grad school, and I was not about to, spend too much time in my mama's house and just looking around to see what was out there. I felt like it was an investment, but more importantly, or maybe equally, it was less expensive. So I felt like for me, that's why I said at the time it was a good decision. And we may have bought ours maybe perhaps around the same time or close to the same time, because I was a little bit older than you were, but it might have been around the same year. And so maybe it was cheaper down there too. I don't know.
Yeah, it was definitely cheap.
It wasn't cheap down here. And the only person that I know who really came up when they bought their house is the girl who's in that other WhatsApp group with us who lives in D.C. The rest of them are all like this underwater, like, oh, I can't, oh, so.
Well, I didn't start off underwater.
They did 15 minutes after they purchased. Yes, they did around here. Yeah, they did.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
and I got hit by the housing
bubble. A minute, but now I'm like, good God. I mean, I'm not underwater, but I'm like, even if I sold it, I mean, it's whatever. We could talk about this for a whole nother
show.
Yeah, we'll have another show about this. So I don't know how to successfully segue into our main topics.
Well, we're talking about home ownership, and we're talking about people being home alone or being lonely at home. So.
Okay, good transition there. So, we kind of joked about in the episode summary about asking if men really cry in the dark, but in all seriousness, it seems that there are a million think pieces about the plight of the single woman. We see, shows like Girlfriends or Sex in the City, and all of this, but we rarely hear about men who, are living alone, some, lonely, and can't seem to find their happily ever after. So we just decided, hey, let's talk about it. So who's going to go first?
I'll go first. So I will say that this sort of came from a conversation I had several conversations I've had with several men in the last 6 or 7 years. And it all starts out how they are 35 or older, and the things that rev them up before no longer get them. So, when they were 29 and bought a fancy house and a fancy car and a fancy bike and went on fancy trips, they got a little charge from that. But when they tried it at 39, they didn't get the same charge, and they're saying it's because they have no one to consistently connect with, to share it with. So it's not that they couldn't find some women to share it with, but they don't have anybody. They're having trouble with that connecting piece. And some of them have actually used the word lonely. I'm lonely. And in particular, a couple of them had told me when they were 36 that they were lonely. By 38, they got married. By 42, they're divorced. And it's because they clung on to whatever woman they woke up beside that Tuesday and married her. It didn't take away the loneliness. It didn't do any of those things. And men just don't have, they don't seem to have an outlet to discuss these things. And I remember on Wisdom is Misery, they were talking about how men are horrible friends. And I don't know if you guys saw that episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where they were like, men are horrible friends. A man is having trouble. His boys are going to say, let's go to a strip club, let's get drunk. Those are their solutions. And let's play sports or talk about sports. So that sort of I relayed this story to the ladies, and we started talking about how, men just, women are allowed to be lonely and basically have emotions, and we're almost automatically afforded the opportunity to have a support group amongst other women. But men, y'all can't call up your boy and be like, yo, dog, I'm lonely.
It's funny because I was trying to find like articles and stuff on the topic, and I saw this article on Cyber Parent, and what they said was they basically quoted an email from a guy that said, it's unbelievable. I type loneliness plus man into a search browser, and I get your website telling me how lonely women are. Has it ever stopped to occur to anyone that men are lonely too? How come we live in a society that seems to think women are the only brunt bearers of emotional pain? The very fact that their issues are addressed and I can't find a single website dealing with the issue as it pertains to men implies to me at least that women are probably in a healthier emotional state than are men. Maybe, maybe not, just a guess. All I can suggest is to get off your self-pitying, self-indulgent, provincial crucifixion martyr complex and deal with emotional issues in a way that can help both men and women. For Christ's sake, there's enough pain to go around, and thanks for no help. So Andrew kind of snapped there. And then Cyberparent responded saying, we can't do much about the search engines, but we can discuss loneliness from a man's point of view. And they gave 2 points. They said men suffer from 2 forms of loneliness. There's social loneliness, which they describe as being brought on by a lack of social network, not having people for hanging out. And then there's emotional loneliness, which is the absence of a close emotional relationship. Because you can have your boy,
but it's not close.
but your boy may not know, that something's really, really going on with you. So I just thought that was interesting that this man wrote this letter talking about, I'm searching for this and I can't find anything for myself.
But I think that it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, in the fact that I think that it's true that that's overwhelmingly the way that it has been. And I think that it's also true that we're starting to see a shift. So we're starting to have the conversations. There's starting to be pushback against hypermasculinity and even defining what masculinity is and considering what roles are. Actually, that's what this article that I was reading earlier is all about. NPR did a whole series this summer on men in America, and this particular one it says, unlike some of their fathers, today's married men seek a full partner. And they spend time talking about the fact that, the marriage rates are actually lower than they used to be. 85% of men will marry at some point, and it used to be 95% in the 50s. But they're saying that they're looking for different things in a partner now. So before, when you were kind of the only breadwinner and you were expected to, be in charge, and the woman had this lesser role, that was less fulfilling. And so that these days, she said, good housekeeping skills have fallen way down in their desirable list of qualities, and friendship has gone way up. So it's like, men do want a full partner and someone that is more intimate with them. And they still talk about the fact that even at work, that men want more family-friendly policies. So they says there's been a total reversal in who reports the most work-family conflict. Back in the 70s, women reported much higher levels of work-family conflict than men did. Today, men report higher levels of work-family conflict than women do. But employers are not willing to accommodate men very much. They get teased, they get harassed, they get denied promotions. But the good news is that men really want to spend more time with their families. They're asking for family-friendly work policies, for leave, for flexibility. And this is no longer a women's issue. This is a men and women's issue. So I do think that it's possible that we're still we still have a masculine-centered society that says that men are not allowed to have emotions. But I also think that it's shifting in a more healthy direction.
And I'm glad we have guys in the chat because they've got some comments over there on the side. Hustle says, so I went to Essence with one of my best friends. We've been tight almost 30 years. He said he broke up with his girl. I thought it was one woman. It was a chick I'd never met, not the one who he was with last time we spoke about his relationship. And then he went on to say, hold on, because the comments kind of got out of order there. Dang it.
This is a dude?
Yeah, this is Hustle who made that comment. Then he said, I've never called my boy and said, Young, I need to holler at you about my relationship. Never, and I'm 38. And then Evo, let's see.
Wait, but what about this is a dude who I had to help get through a death of his sister? What about that comment?
Okay, wait. Hold on. Okay. Then he said, this is a dude who I had to help get through the death of his sister when we were in high school. We could talk about that, but not relationships. Maybe it's man law. I don't know. And then Evo said, dead right. Men are taught not to acknowledge feelings and to avoid them at all costs, so guys don't know how to talk to guys.
But guys don't know how to listen to guys either. No? And I would say, just because you guys know the stuff that happened with my family in the last month, and so many, a good number of the male relatives call my mom to talk to her about just things related to the situation. And she's like, I don't know why they're calling me, blah, blah, blah. And I said, because the women they wake up beside, they're not connected to them. They don't feel comfortable saying this stuff or hearing what you're saying from those women. So there is the issue of men not having other men to talk to, but men making partner choices and friend choices that don't include a support system necessarily.
And that's why I think too, people always joke about men and women not being able to be friends. But one of the things that I can say for me having a male best friend is that I've been able to help, and the term make him a better man sounds bad, but I've been able to allow him the space to be emotional. You know what I'm saying? In a way, and for him to express himself and his relationships in an emotional way, because I know that his male friends, the conversations we've had, he's never had, with his male friends, and I'm able to be somebody he can talk to. And so, like you said about men not knowing how to talk to men, even the way that we've started off our conversations, I can't see two dudes coming up to each other and starting a conversation off.
But see, I guess maybe I know I'm exposed to a different type of man, because a lot of the men that I know do have these kinds of conversations with other men, and it's not all of them, because some of them have these conversations with me. But I do know some men who have really good male circles. As a matter of fact, to the point where, it was one of my things that when I was dating, and even probably most of the time that I'm dating, I'm like, I'm looking at giving you a side eye if I feel like you aren't able to have those kinds of conversations with your guys. So, or that's something that I'll encourage.
Somebody's got a feedback thing.
Not me.
Well, I heard it in you earlier, but it sounds like it's me now, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But how do you know that whether or not they have those things in their friendships?
People talk about, just like how I talk about the conversations that I have with you. People talk about the conversations with me that they have with other people. Even if I don't know all the details, I know the character of the relationships that they have. So there's some people who never mention having a conversation with another guy. And so then I'm like, who are your guy friends?
Yeah, that when I see guys that don't have any guy friends, that kind of worries me a little. I don't know. There's still feedback.
Does anybody have their phone nearby?
I actually have the cord going past it. How about now?
Testing. Oh, it's gone.
Nope. Okay, so it was where I had my phone at. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So, but I think for me, yeah, I do look at men who don't have any male friends. But it's the quality of those relationships when they do have them. Like, there are some people that I know, like, so there is nobody who can tell them, dog, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
Right.
And so you can have friends you've had since 3rd grade, but if your relationship isn't such that they're going to be like, dog, you're going to jail. Don't do that. And I don't know that that's really a great relationship. Yeah, y'all can kick it, party, tuck dollars and strippers, G-strings together. But is that really an emotional connection? I don't think it is.
And see, the thing is, okay, Buddha, going back to you and the conversations that you say the guys do they have conversations about things like being lonely? Like, not just, like, for example, Hustle said with a friend that he had, he helped a friend get through his sister's death. Well, that was an emotional experience, but they've never had a conversation about relationships. You see what I'm saying? So there may be, okay, yeah, I'm emotional if something happens to your family, but not the fact that I'm going through individual loneliness right now. And there's still feedback.
I hear it too.
Me.
What you say?
That it's not me.
Yeah, I hear it on my end too. And we'll see how it comes out. I think it just depends. Like, I'm not a person who gets lonely. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about loneliness with other people, although other things happen that I'll talk about. So I think it's hard to generalize, do they talk about loneliness, but I do know that they do talk about emotional things. So divorce and kind of the pain from that, or being in a relationship and the partner aborts a child and the pain from that, and all kinds of other things like that that I know that they talk about. So,
do you think, Lady Buddha, being an only child helps you not, I don't know, feel the same level of lonely? Wait,
Are we gonna move into
Oh
the
no,
introvert conversation?
I was jumping. The double dutch rope was going.
No, I think we do need to wait a minute. Hold on, let me get this comment from Hustle, and then we can move to it. I do want to just get the chat conversations. It says Hustle said, when I lived in Richmond, I had a chick who was my sounding board. She was a sister I never had. When I had a question about women, I took it to her. Her advice was always on point. We're still tight now, and she was a Delta too. Then Efo says, I have male friends that will let me know when I do dumb stuff and talk relationship stuff. Good. And then these are just some old comments. Evo said, going back to the conversation we had about LB's feedback, the thing people have to remember is do not compete with those older than you. What they paid for their stuff, ooh, this is a good comment. What they paid for their stuff was cheaper than what it is now. Know your limits and accept it. There was also layaway back then.
There was layaway. I mean, and people relied less on credit cards, and layaway was just cash. Yeah.
My first furniture set when I moved back to Atlanta was something I put on layaway while I was still in Tallahassee.
Oh, mine too. Yes.
Anyway, and then
that's real talk. 14 years ago, and things were different.
Yeah. But okay, Buddha, go into the comment because you said, and I guess this is a great transition into the introvert topic. You said that I forget what you said. You don't feel lonely. So the conversations about being lonely are foreign to you, and Smart asked you about being an only child and if that had an effect. You have the floor.
Well, I would have to think about it because I'm not sure how much of it is being an only child coupled with also being an introvert, because you could have an only child who's extroverted who may be more prone to loneliness, things of that nature. But I was very content to be by myself. I spent most of the time by myself. I love to read. I love to do all sorts of things. So for me, it translates into, as an adult, clamoring for the opportunities when I can be alone. So, being in a household with a lot of people was a challenge that I knew that I was going to have to learn how to, navigate, successfully in my current relationship. And it's interesting because I know a woman who has 4 kids and she loves them, but she talks about the fact that she's an introvert and she is always excited when she can be away for a while. So I'm not sure if it's either one of those two things or both of them together. But I do know that it's funny because just recently, in fact, this past week, I was like all over the state and driving all over everywhere. And so I was looking forward to Saturday. But Saturdays around here are sometimes field trip day where every errand in the world has to get run. And so this Saturday was coming, Saturday morning came, and I knew on Friday, I was like, ooh, I'm going to stay home on Saturday. I'm not going on any field trips. I'm going to just be home. All right. And so Blue, knows me by now. And on Saturday, he was like, okay, so I have to do this, and that, and other thing. And he listed this thing, and he just kind of smiled at me. And I just kind of smiled at him, and I just shook my head no. And we both started laughing, and he was like, offered and declined, all in silence. I said, I can't go anywhere right now, but it's just like, no, I just had to be here. And I was just so glad to just have some time to just kind of unwind and kind of get back to myself for a minute. So I really needed.
Think it's great that Blue knows you and accepts the fact that he accepts that about you, because so many people, and the reason that we decided to bring this to the podcast is because all 3 of us are introverts. And, a lot of times people think, well, if you're popular with a lot of friends, or if you're in social organizations, or if you talk on social media a lot, or hell, if you even have a blog or a podcast, that you're actually an extrovert. And the 3 of us started having conversations about the need to recharge because we were around people. And then that's how this entire topic came about. So, I just like the fact that Blue accepts that about you, because a lot of people don't. Like, they think that you are being antisocial, or you're acting funny, or whatever, when you need that downtime. But that downtime is real. Like, that's a real thing.
They make your need for downtime about them and a rejection of them, when it's not personally against them. It's personally what you need to be the best you.
Right.
The best you to be around them.
Exactly.
And that's not just for relationships. That's even, with work. Like, I deal in a field where I'm around people all the time. And so I have to have a minute to regroup before I'm able to deal with family and friends. And we even joked about the fact that the three of us can go back and forth on WhatsApp, but we're not exerting energy, because there's something about being in a space with people where you absorb other people's energies that can be draining, and you do need time to recoup from that.
Right.
So I just put an article up in the showcase, guys. I don't know if you have to flip over to another part, but it's actually an article that says things you should know about introverts. Number 1 says we need to recharge alone. This right here is the cusp of the entire introvert versus extrovert debate, if there is one anyway. Introverts need to be alone to recharge. We tend to get completely worn out by socializing. This is basically what it means to be an introvert. And my line sister, she actually calculated a mathematical formula of the time I needed to reboot based on the amount of time and number of people that I was around in the situation.
I would like to see that, please.
You did. It was Shiki. She said she sent it to the three of us. It was like 3 years ago. She was like, your formula is X divided by the cosine or something.
Tell her to forward that to me.
Number 2, we don't hate being around people, but we probably hate crowds. I love being with people, but if you drop me in, this is from the article, but if you drop me in a large crowd, I instantly feel like I'm alone and invisible. I try to avoid situations where I feel like that way, so I may decline your open invitation to some random event. It doesn't mean I don't like to be around you. It just means I like to have more control over my surroundings. I would like to add a caveat to that and to say that some of us have adapted social skills that may make it seem like we enjoy being in crowds, because I can look like I'm having a damn blast in the middle of a social situation, but actually I'm itching to go.
But that's why I've never gone to like Essence or anything like that. Like, I've gone to weddings in New Orleans and partied out with people I knew, a close group of people. I won't go on any big ski excursions. I've gone with 20 friends or 20 friends and associates skiing, but that whole mass of stranger element is just like, really, I'm gonna just go ahead and take a nap.
The other thing says we don't mind silence. I can sit beside you in silence and not think we're having a bad time. This is especially true on road trips and can be a little confounding to true extroverts. For this reason, I especially like going to the movies where it's considered to be rude to chat.
Right.
Rule number 1 for dealing with introverts: don't tell me I'm too quiet. I hate that. Sorry I'm making you uncomfortable, but you really don't get to decide how much I have to talk. Number 4, just because we are introverted doesn't mean we are shy. Introvert and shy are actually 2 different things. Google it. Number 5,
growing up, so that was really hard.
We can turn on an extroverted personality when necessary, but it is especially draining. See,
we all do.
Yeah, all 3 of us do.
That's why I couldn't go anywhere on Saturday from being extroverted all week.
It says, I have no problem getting up in front of a group of people and giving a talk. This is me. I don't even get nervous by a question and answer period, but here is the thing. I will need major recharge time afterwards, and I won't be able to keep up this extroverted illusion all day. I can turn it on to dazzle a crowd, but if you take me out for lunch afterwards, I'll probably just listen to you talk. I'm an excellent listener. God damn it, that's my cheat code. That's a cheat code to dealing with me.
Real talk.
We aren't judging you, except if your name is Snarky Susan. No, I'm just kidding. It says, C number 3. Did I get quiet? Do I have a mean look on my face? I'm not judging you. I'm just wrapped up in my thoughts with my bitchy resting face on. I might have even forgotten you were there. Sorry, just poke me. I didn't do it on purpose. Number 7, we secretly love it when you cancel plans. I like being with you, but finding out I suddenly don't need to be on. It wasn't actually me that backed out. Priceless. Don't worry if you have to cancel. I'm probably thrilled to be able to stay in my pajamas.
Yes.
That's real. That's real. That is so real.
Number 8, we can get wrapped up in our own thoughts. My inner monologue is epic. When you have a strong monologue constantly running in the background, it's pretty easy to settle in and listen for a while. I have to work through things in my head before I proceed, so I usually need a few minutes. When I'm ready to move forward, though, I am 100% on top of it. Number 9, we can be pretty bad at connecting. You know when you have had a really bad day and you just want to call up a friend and chat? Yeah, I'm bad at that. I tend to wait for extroverts to reach out and include me, so when the time comes that I need support, I can be a bit lost. Number 10, we don't like to hang around. That time after an event or meeting ends and stragglers
it's over. Around. It's time to leave right then. Why are we still standing here?
Right.
I got my keys in my hand.
My keys are in my hand. That's one thing Blue and I have not worked out yet, though.
He's a hang-arounder.
He is a hang-arounder. He got to, like, say goodbyes for, like, 45 minutes. I'm like, listen, you told me we were leaving 45 minutes ago. I really don't know why we're still standing.
You got to start discreetly dangling the keys. It says, yeah, I know this is a perfect time to make more plans, connect with new people, and get involved with future projects, but I really, 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 really hate this. I'm already checking my phone in my car before you have even picked up your purse. Small talk with strangers is my kryptonite. You know, this also reminds me.
You would just say this earlier this week, this small talk situation. You're like, I hate it.
I hate it. Like, shh. Just
handle the business. Reminds me of Rod from The Black Guy Who Tips, because, again, this goes back to this thing where you can be popular and you can have a podcast, but you can also be an introvert. Because, you know, if you're ever on the show with Rod, like, before the show, like, Karen is the one who's chatting it up with you and how was your day and blah, 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 blah. Rod is not mean, but he is in his zone. Like, he's like, you know, all right. And then when the show comes, he's on, but he needs that minute. And he'll tell you he needs that minute. Even his show is medium talk because he hates small talk. So, I mean, and then the last one, we have strong opinions. Just because I have difficulty sharing them sometimes doesn't mean I don't have opinions. Give me an extra minute to compose my thoughts, and I will continue to push myself to speak up sooner. It's a give and take here. So those are the things that you should know about introverts, just in case you have an introverted coworker, a significant other, a parent, or even a child, because my mother is an extrovert and I'm an introvert. So that used to be an ongoing thing with us when I was growing up. And now, you know, we've kind of come to like my mom actually texted me and said, we're at a stalemate at this point. But yeah, you know, that's something that you should know about the difference between, or how to deal with an introvert.
Well, how do you deal with people? Well, first of all, I'm going to splice this and send this to all my friends and associates. But how do you deal with people who do take it personally? Because I struggle with that. Like, no, it's not you. But what I really want to do is sit here on this couch with me and my remote. Oh, I'll come over. No. What I want to do is breathe my own air and chill. And, you know, there's not too many ways to say that nicely where feelings aren't hurt.
I just say I'm not available. I mean, I don't even go into anything.
But if it's somebody that you care about,
I'm not available.
But if it's somebody that you care about, like, not saying you're not available is like, I mean, you could say that to somebody that's a friend or like an associate or whatever. But when it's somebody that cares about you and they're wanting to spend time and you really aren't, like, this was a hell of a week as far, you know, at work for me. So, you know, somebody saying, well, I'll call and check on you at this point. I'm really like, no, don't call. I don't need you to call because I don't want to talk. You know, how do you say that without hurting someone's feelings? And they care.
I just don't say it. I just don't answer the phone. I just don't get into any of that.
I don't answer the phone either. I'm not a phone answerer.
Right, but when you don't answer the phone, you get the follow-up text. Are you okay?
I don't care. Y'all know sometimes I don't check WhatsApp. It'd be like 12 hours later. I'm like, oh, let me see what y'all said. The phone is just not near me. I just don't care. I'm just not dealing with it.
And I think people who know me have gotten better about that because they have my college roommates nicknamed it hermit mode. Like when I go into hermit mode. But when I was a freshman in college, I think one dude he thought I had an emotional disorder because
yours is a little bit more extreme though.
Because well, it would be like
you go days and days and days at a time.
But I mean, I need my space. So like people would come to the house and I would speak and be friendly, but then I would go back to my room and just sit. And everybody come in like, "Are you okay? Why aren't you out here with everybody?" I'd be like, "Leave me alone." And then
I don't know, Miss Mark. I don't really know because honestly, the people who have made it with me to 40 know better. So I just, and plus, honestly, a lot of my relationships are long distance or over space and time. So it's not anyone new or anyone who can just drop by. I just don't even have any of those situations. So I'm really probably not the best one to offer support. And then I'm out of state and I move. So I just don't even have those kind of ties that.
So basically you have your bobbing and weaving down to a science.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have it down to a science yet because, like I said, mine always ends up. In fact, some years ago, back when we had answering machines, I was dating this guy, and it was one of those I'm not really trying to deal with people, and so he like calls me and he like leaves messages, and then finally he's like, "I'm just coming over there because I don't know if you're okay," and I'm just like, dude, like. I mean, if I'm dead, I've been dead 2 days, so you just coming over here on the second day is not helping anybody.
But I would also email, especially over the past several years. I mean, I could have an email conversation with you all day, and people's like, let's just pick up the phone. No.
Nope.
But we can keep emailing, or we can talk tomorrow.
I think society is leaning more towards that because you guys know what I do for a living. I won't tell the general people, but in my job, there's this idea that you're supposed to call all these people, and what I found is that emailing people whose names are not like Betty or Barbara, those younger names, and they will respond to you immediately. You call them, they're not really trying to pick up a phone and have conversations, but email, bam. And so I think there is this move toward an individual existence thanks to technology and smaller families.
Hustle says, no, I'm agreeing with you. Hustle says, word up, LB, I'm an only child. Also, I love alone time. It gets no better. He also says this article is the gospel. And I mean, when I found it, I posted it on my Google Plus page, and people were coming out the woodworks like a thriller zombie thing, like, yeah, And then, let me see. Hold on. Oh, shoot. I just lost it. Oh, Jeffrey says, I hate crowds too, Evo. I also don't like people or crowds that like corrupt other people like Hustle Crow. I guess that's not. And then here's one that we were talking about with the male thing. Evo said, for some reason, people are thinking that men don't want to be around for birthday and kid events. We miss out on those things, too.
Aww. You know what? One of the events on Saturday that I couldn't go to was a birthday party.
Sometimes women don't want to go to them either. I don't give a damn about your 3-year-old.
I didn't want to go, but Blue went, so.
Then this is the other one, and Evo said, here a question: are we talking about loneliness in general or relationship loneliness? From my experience, it's two different things. I think we started off, when we thought about the topic, we were talking about relationship loneliness. But then when we started talking on the show, it just kind of went into everything. But when we kind of thought up the topic, we were talking about relationship loneliness.
What is the difference, though?
And then also says he absolutely hates crowds. So I guess we got a whole bunch of introverts.
But what's the difference between loneliness and relationship loneliness? I don't know.
I think they're on the same. They're different spaces on the same spectrum. Like you're in a relationship and you're not connecting with that person. That's a certain level of loneliness.
Right.
And then there's the social loneliness of not having friends that you can talk to about your emotions.
Right. It's like Smart said, with her family, how they called her mom because the women they were laying next to, they may not necessarily have been able to have that same conversation. That's a part of emotional loneliness that they have, that may not translate to them if they have a whole bunch of friends or if they're in activities or, you know, doing whatever, but they are in a relationship and being lonely or not being in a relationship and you know, wanting one or wanting one with substance. So, but I do think it's all on the same spectrum.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where does missing somebody fit though? Is that the same thing as being lonely, or that's different?
I feel like that's different because I
Yeah.
think you're missing that interaction with that individual and not just an overall interaction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was gonna say you miss that person or you miss something about being with that person. But if you're able to still not like for example, you said you don't experience loneliness, but I know there's been a time where you've missed someone, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. There is a difference, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, it's after 9. Do y'all have any closing thoughts, or y'all want to go back into your shells of?
Look, my closing thought is if I say I don't want to be bothered in so many words, then it's not personal, honey. I just want to sit here and watch Falling Skies and whatever other bad television I can find. That's what I want to do. Don't take it personally.
Y'all, you know what? The song should have been okay. I know we got Al Green in the beginning, but Buddha, can you make the closing song Monica's "Don't Take It Personal"?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I downloaded it. I was trying to. I add it.
Cause she said, "Don't take it personal." So cheers, Buddha. You got cheers for anyone?
I'm just gonna give cheers to Blue actually for that silent offering and the smile that went along with understanding that no, I couldn't go on the Saturday field trips and that I needed some time, you know, for being really sweet about it. So cheers to him.
Smart.
I would like to send a cheers to one Ted of former Brother Code fame because he is the wind beneath my rap career wings.
Oh no! Please tell me you're not getting ready to. Oh God.
What's about to happen?
I'm not gonna spit no rhymes, no bars right now. But he said that I can't rap because I enunciate too well. So I accept the challenge, and I'm on it, and I'm gonna start dropping my G's, yo. Yeah. I don't know if that's right, but whatever.
No. Okay, to give y'all some backstory, so this morning I sent Smart and friend of the show Ted a Facebook video that I had seen, which actually that woman is going to be my cheers, where she was giving some shouts out to Dr. Bronner's peppermint body wash because it helped clean her monkey. So
y'all are already doing too much.
Wait. Let the record reflect. I only got to like 47 seconds. They watched the whole thing. I refused. That was the first. When I turned over this morning, it blinged, and I looked at it, and I was like, I can't. No, this is not what's going to get in my spirit first thing in the morning.
Y'all have to see the whole thing. Shoot, I should put it in the showcase. But anyway, she was talking about it, but she was also talking about stealing it. She was, and I'm going into my cheers now because I'm cheering her for having the confidence to sit there, and her tooth fell out at the end, and she kept going. Like she was like, "Oh, my tooth fell out," and she kept talking. But anyway, so I sent it to Ted and Smart, and so I don't know how we got on the conversation about us. Oh, Ted said because Smart was judging me, of course, and he was like, "That's the pot calling the kettle black." And then she called him the skillet, so we decided we were the cast iron crew, which could be a good rap name. But then he said that Smart couldn't rap because she enunciated her words. So then he challenged her to freestyle on tonight's show.
I said, "What? You broke up, Sojo? You broke up."
Okay,
hey,
can you hear me?
Hey, boo. Hey.
Yeah. I thought I heard her. I was at the end, but go ahead.
But anyway, he challenged her to freestyle on the show, which she's not doing.
Wait, freestyle?
Yes.
Look.
Oh, see, I was like, oh, she gonna practice and blah blah blah. Freestyle.
No, let me tell you something. He's known me for years, and what he also knows about me is that we're giving away the podcast for free, so I'm not going to give away my rap stylings for free. That's why I draw the damn line, okay?
But I have a suggestion on when we were going to freestyle. I was going to give y'all this suggestion anyway, which was that when we have Rod from the Black Guy Who Tips On, that we should open our show the way he opens his show with lyrics. And so we were going to practice ours and give him his. However, we can just like spring Miss Smarts on her and Rod's on his, and me and you can practice.
Everybody has to write somebody else's. Let everybody write somebody else's.
We could play with that. But anyway, that was what I was going to suggest that we.
I like that idea. Okay, so where can we find y'all? Buddha, where can they find you?
Even though I took it off the screen because I was having connectivity issues, you can find me on Twitter at ND Collier, that's Collier, or on my blog, and I posted something recently, and I'm going to post something else soon too. CocoStudio.com, COCO Studio singular, CocoStudio.com.
Smart.
And so here's the thing, right?
Oh, God.
So first of all, I'm not giving y'all bars. I'm not giving y'all bars. Like I said, I got an album that's gonna hit YouTube. I'm gonna pass out my mixtape. It's gonna be awesome. You can find me on the Twitter, word to Kai Love, at think_P_smart, and you'll be happy to know that I did import all of my posts from my old what was it? Think Pretty Smart. Oh yeah, my old Think Pretty Smart site, but not the ones before that. So once I get around to having some time, because I have been just doing too much, and by too much, I mean out in these streets and on my couch. I'm going to start reposting some stuff and just looking at some stuff that I thought in my youth that was stupid, and we can address some of those things. So that blog will become a thing. So
that might be interesting.
You should do something.
No, I'm saying that might be interesting for all of us to do.
You should.
We can all do that. Everybody can bring an old post.
You should do some of the comments too.
Yeah, the comments. So I'm trying to figure out how to, because they didn't come in the way that I wanted them to. So some of the comments were on different services. So I'm trying to figure out how to map them correctly. But yeah, so that would be thinkprettysmart.com, coming soon. And by soon, I'm aiming. Did I say September last time? I feel like September or October might be a good aim for date.
Okay, so I just heard you say September. So when September comes,
some point in September, it might be the last day of September. So don't be trying to hold me to nothing.
And my Twitter handle is at SOJOXOXO. That's SojoXOXO. My website is www.feminyin.com. That's FEMINYIN.com. Did I just spell that right? FEMINYIN.com. Our website is Whiskey, Wine, and Moonshine, www.whiskeywineandmoonshine.com. On that website, you'll be able to donate to the show, help us pay that hosting price at Podomatic.
Right. That's your money.
You can also find our Twitter page, our Pinterest, our Facebook page, all from that website. So, definitely, hit up the website and check us out. Even if you Google Whiskey, Wine, and Moonshine, we will come up. So anyway, this has been another episode. I think it's episode 66. So we will see you guys next week. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, wait, here's my glass. Wait, cheers. Yeah.
Goodness.
Sounds so enthusiastic.
Just one.
Oh, wait, I got water. Hold on. Okay, let's do it again. Cheers.
Oh, I will have water now, too. So, okay, now water.
Cheers.